Lacey glanced at her watch again, surprised to see that only 1 minute had gone by since the last time she looked. She was getting impatient, but she planned on sticking to the promise she made herself. After all, Lacey had learned a long time ago that she could only count on herself, that any promises made to her by other people were merely whimsical fantasies, wishful thinking, or simply lies. Whether it was because Lacey recognized that she needed to remove a truly toxic person from her life, or her and the other person simply stopped talking or grew apart, or for any other reason, she didn't really have any friends anymore. Lacey thought removing those people from her life would make her feel happier, and for a while, it did. But soon after, loneliness started its slow, gradual descent. She checked her watch again. 11:52 p.m. Just 8 more minutes. Lacey managed a small smile through her near-constant shivering. Why did it seem like there was more wind the higher up you went? She was freezing, but not for long. "What are you talking about?" Jacob looked at her quizzically. Lacey sighed and lowered the book in her hands to look her husband in the eye. "I have witnesses, Jacob." Lacey felt her eyes dampen. His expression took a more serious tone. "Who?" he grunted. His seemingly indifferent attitude was exasperating, but she tried to remain calm. He's not even denying it. I talked to Rick, and he said he saw you there, making out with her in front of the store." Hysteria crept into her voice. "And he said Lonnie was with you, and Lonnie said—" "When was this?" Jacob interrupted. Lacey paused, so taken aback by the question her speech function temporarily failed. When was this? When was this? When was this? Is that all I have to say is when was this? Lacey slammed her book onto the table, enraged. How pathetic could a man be? Does it really matter when it was? You cheated on me! Jacob hastily rose from the table and headed for the hallway that led to their bedroom. Lacey followed him, continuing her rant. 2 witnesses and you can't even admit it! She shouted as Jacob started throwing some clothes into a suitcase. And now you're gonna leave. Just destroy a person and walk away. An Arctic gust jerked Lacey back into the present. It had started to rain. Shivering, she eyed her watch again. 11:56. 4 left. Lacey looked out onto the city below. She liked to be outside at night. It was so quiet, unlike the daytime. There were no people out. Little to no cars on the streets. It was almost as if she was the last person on Earth, and even though Lacey was lonely, terribly lonely these days, the thought was still comforting at times. If there were no other people, nobody could hurt her, and she wouldn't be able to hurt them either. The wind seemed like it was getting stronger. She thought she had heard something, on the TV perhaps, about a storm coming their way. It hadn't exactly felt relevant when she had made the decision to kill herself. Why was she thinking about it now? 11:58 p.m. 2 minutes until she would die, and she had spent the last 10 minutes of her life thinking about the people who had betrayed her. This suddenly seemed rather ridiculous to her. Why did they deserve her final thoughts? 11:59. She looked out again, observing the twinkling city lights. The distant ones looked like stars on the mountains behind them. It was beautiful. Why was she there? Maybe she shouldn't do this. Lacey turned to step off the ledge. The sudden crack of lightning startled Lacey so bad she stumbled, started waving her arms in a mad attempt to regain her balance, but she couldn't. She watched the sides of the building rush past her as she fell, backwards. It didn't even feel like falling. It felt more like levitating. She pulled the only happy image she could muster into her mind. The beach, with Jacob, before all the ugliness. The last time she was truly happy with him. She smiled. The wind around her came to a sudden halt. Behind the cracked glass of the watch, still secured around her wrist, both hands would be forever stuck on 12.